So welcome back to another Backpage Gaming video. Today, boys, we are looking at the Q&A that EA Sports did on their Twitter account the other day. Today we've got me, who is Jack. We've got
me, Robbie, and
there is actually no Sam. He is currently dying from uni work. We're led to believe anyway. So it's just the two of us. I'm sure we can make it if we try. So. Robbie's not actually read these. I've read these because I'm a bit more of a tryhard. So we're just going to get Robbie's reactions, our reactions. Basically, the game is dead. We're well aware of that. We haven't really been playing. Robbie's not been playing Weekend League at all. I've played it a bit. I didn't play it last week, but we've got a pretty cool video coming out soon of my endgame team. And then the lads are going to have their endgame teams as well. Mine's a bit better though. Spoiler alert. But anyway, starting off. So the first thing that they're talking about is headers.
Right.
So they're talking about manual headers. And basically they're hoping to make heading a more viable option again. Rather than this year it is completely shit.
Yeah, it's just useless, isn't it?
Which I think it's kind of hurt the game a lot, but at the same time it's helped
100%.
it because I think there's been years where heading has been disgustingly overpowered.
Yeah.
But it's really been clear this year that there's really few ways to attack this year, and if you don't attack in the right way, I think you can really struggle in difficult games.
Yeah. It seems like every year they can't get heading right.
Yeah.
It's either too overpowered or too shit, basically.
So basically here they're talking about manual headers. They're going to apply to passing and shooting headers. However, clearances will prioritise getting to the ball as fast as possible and clearing the ball, not manual. So it seems as though it's going to be not aids on defence, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we don't know yet. They're also talking here, blah, 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 blah. Error is drastically reduced for manual headers. So basically, it's saying that even if you've got this new manual headers control on, it's still really important to have these good stats, if you're heading accuracy and for shooting as well. So here, Felix asks, has the default depth been increased? As in how far the defense sits back on one depth because it's way too deep, has drop back been removed and come back on defense instruction. So EA replied saying, spent a lot of time on tuning all the tactics, including drop back to provide a fresh experience in FIFA 21. Additionally, you'll see a lot of new behaviours. I think this is bullshit.
Yeah, that's a politician's answer, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's complete bullshit. I think that this next year is going to be the same as the year before this and the year before this.
They've not alluded to anything there, have they, really?
Yeah. It's not. There's always the problem with FIFA is that they can't balance the game. They are atrocious at balancing it.
There's always one thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
If not more.
And I think drop back this year has been so unbelievably overpowered.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've not been able to counter it, the only things that they've kind of fixed to some extent were overload ball side. Yeah. But even then, like, if it drains your player's fitness, it doesn't really matter half the time in the difficult games.
No, yeah.
Like, I think to the games when I've really struggled and I've turned on team press and overload ball side, you get back into the game, you keep that on, and you go for the winner, and then most of the time you get away with it, really.
Yeah.
So I think I'll not judge it too soon, but I just can't see it. I think I'm cynical, but I can't see it being good.
No, I can't. If the fact that they've not really gave an answer leads me to believe that they've not changed much.
It's the same with FIFA into every year. I think they have these vague answers about things. They don't go into specifics. They show these stupid little, they're like the computer-generated clips where it's. But there's nothing.
When Messi takes someone on and they fall over.
Yeah.
Ooh, new engine.
You joke, mate, but just wait a bit. So, then Connell says, what has been done to improve passing so that good passes play the ball in space, and the attackers are running into that as opposed to playing the ball just as the crow flies via the shortest possible route, ignoring the defender between them. So I think this is one thing that FIFA has also never got right is. Players like Cruz or Iniesta or Thiago, players that are a bit slower, and they can't balance passing. Once again, it goes back to what we said. They can't balance anything.
Yeah.
So EA replies saying, we've worked on the pass openness concept, which allows for great passes with higher attributes, blah, 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 to explore more spaces, extend the field, and open up play. We don't want passing to be too assisted, as this will make interceptions too difficult. So, it'll be interesting to see what they have done, because I think at the minute...
like they're going to make it really hard now.
Yeah, that's the thing with FIFA. I feel like they'll try to do something, they'll have the right idea, but then the execution, they'll just fluff up, sorry. Because at the minute, you think of your fullbacks, and I always think that, you know, the really long through ball. Yeah. Like, why can you do that? Like, is it going to be like significantly difficult? Because I suppose that's not really a difficult pass, is it? It's just
you don't really take into account your passing stats when on a player either.
No,
because everyone's got something in the locker, really.
So it could be interesting if they do manage to balance it correctly and make kind of like the slower playmakers a bit more viable. Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. And here we get onto something a bit more spicy. So Sam, the FIFA Brit, asks,
is it our Sam?
As if Sam could
FIFA
even get
Brit.
onto Twitter. As if he could even get onto Twitter, let alone ask a question. Sam asks, how effective will AI blocks be?
Oh.
Blah, 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 blah. So, FIFA, you know, whoever this person is, by the way, I'd love to know who's actually answering these questions. He says, the blocking animation coverage is bigger for manual / user controlled than for AI controlled players. So I think that's an interesting, like, because they don't really tell us much about the game mechanics, really. You know, stuff like that. Whereas, like, you know about the different shooting styles and that, but the actual, the way as to how that works, they never really say anything. So I think this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But I think the coverage is going to have to be a lot bigger for the user controlled player than the AI controlled player.
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing to get right because it's particularly with, like, you know, the speed of the game and stuff like that. It'd be so hard to manually block shots that
especially
fizzing
in bad
at you.
gameplay.
Yeah. So I think if they do it too much to manual, I think they could ruin it the other way. I don't know.
Make it too difficult.
Yeah.
So they go on to say the new system makes blocking more accurate in terms of predicting where the ball is going, allowing for more reliable blocking based on player personality. So I think it's it is going to be a good idea. It's just whether we can.
Do you think is there going to be a blocking attribute added? That's not an attribute.
I mean, I suppose defensive awareness maybe could be extended to a couple of things, but because that used to be marking. Defensive awareness used to be marking. But it's one of those where it's a good idea. I'll give them props for that. It's actually a decent idea. So they talk about skill moves for a second, and it's just a bit of a vague one about an Elastico. It doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah.
They're talking about this new rewind system, which is something you can do offline, kind of like practicing.
Is it like specific?
I think to some extent, yes. So you can rewind the same scenario multiple times. It's like that game on the phone. I can't sound like a boomer thing to say. You know what I mean? Score Hero, where you do the thing.
Right.
Do the thing. But I think it's basically
like recreating goals.
Yeah, to some extent, I believe, or you're just practicing different shots. It'll probably be in kickoff or some type of separate game mode.
Something that no one's going to use.
Oh, exactly. So they're talking about from Nate, the foot accountant. So he's saying, from reading the pitch notes, I didn't see a deep dive on information relating to changing in shooting or finishing. Besides the finesse shot rework and manual heading updates, will you be changing finishing or goalkeeper ability in any way? So EA replies saying multiple improvements were made to shooting and goalkeepers, including near post shot coverage for goalkeepers, and more personality and impact when shooting. We will be looking closely at community feedback in the near future to continue tuning and improving their systems. So basically there's going to be something overpowered, the community's going to complain,
and then they're going to do it
they're
the other way.
Nerf it into the absolute ground, and it will be something that's different.
They always seem to do a patch just before like after the early access. They patch it and ruin everything.
That's the thing. I think that they listen too much to feedback sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think 100%. Sometimes they listen to the wrong feedback.
Yeah.
I think it's a very fine balance that they've got to get, and I just don't think. I think the last game that was probably like the best FIFA recently is probably FIFA 17.
100%.
The main thing I think everyone remembers from it is the low-driven shots, but apart from that, it was actually a pretty balanced game because you couldn't score headers. Defending wasn't too bad. There was good. It was actually decent content to say that it was kind of like the first FIFA
with foot jumps.
That really, marked a new step for FIFA.
Yeah, that's the FIFA I've played most in the recent years, anyway.
Yeah, so it's
first
a good
year of
idea.
SBCs as well, I think.
I can't remember if SBCs were introduced then or not, but
I think so.
SBCs. EA must be laughing because that is the easiest thing to do to make money ever.
Yeah.
Because it just sells packs upon packs upon packs at the start of the game. So anyway, you might have heard me mentioning this player personality thing. And it's basically based on a player's stats. So it's an attribute-driven system. It's not based on the actual player themselves. So you think of Aguero. The question was talking about Aguero. And how he's, it's probably one of the smartest attackers in the world in this position and that. But it's not clear yet on what this player personality is going to always do.
Is that a stat?
It's not a stat, it's some type of system that they're talking about. So you can have like what I imagine it to be like, as daft as it sounds, is like an RPG build or something. So you can have like a smart attacker or an aggressive defender. So I imagine it determines potentially how the AI works with it. But it's an interesting idea, give some players, if it can, give them different abilities or whatever.
Yeah.
Abilities, that sounds weird.
That could ruin, like when cards get boosted like mad, but then they've still got the retard stat, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
They've got mad stats, but then they just sit there like a lemon.
Because they've just got one thing that's missing or something,
It's like composure.
Yeah.
I suppose, in a way.
Because it's not composure's not boosted on a lot of cards.
No.
Or it's because of the way that they do their upgrades, because it's like a linear upgrade path. But here we go onto the big one. I wish Sam was here because he would.
Yeah, he's a big advocate. I know what question it's going to be. It's the only one I've read.
Felipe says, have you removed scripting, handicap, and DDA from the game? If not, it'll be 100% useless again. And EA go on to say,
I can't believe they answered it.
Yeah, the fact that they said DDA, like I was shocked that they said that. So EA go on to say, as mentioned before, there is no scripting, handicap, momentum, and/or DDA in the game. We'll try and summarize some details in this thread. So they go on to say, we build a football simulation game by implementing the different concepts of football. These concepts include an error system, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. The only time our game adjusts the difficulty of the CPU AI, offline only, is during the introductory boot up match that tries to determine which offline difficulty level is best suited for you. So this bullshit. Is perhaps the biggest lie in humanity.
Anyone that's played over 10 games of FIFA will tell you that is a lie.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're so adamant and like determining their answer. They say there is no scripting, there's no handicap, there's no momentum and/or DDA. Yeah. There is.
Yeah.
But it's like before when they said there's no such thing as kickoff.
Yeah.
It's not. You're not fooling anyone.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You're not fooling anyone. And I don't understand why they won't just. They do say, in fairness to them, they do go on and say, of course, we are happy to continue to receive feedback regarding situations which feel like they are not in complete user control, and we'll continue to make improvements in this area. Yeah. Credit to them for saying that, but it's also the most blanket, faceless statement.
It's even happened in pro events and stuff like that.
Yeah, you see some of the shit that goes on, and you can look at Twitch clips and you see a player falls over, a player misses a shot that they just should score 10 times out of 10.
And you can see the commentators, they don't know what to say about it. They're like,
yeah, because this is the thing. I can understand to some extent them trying to say, oh, we want to, an air of error in the game,
Yeah.
fair enough. If you've got a really decent chance and you miss it, fair enough if that happens once in a game, twice in a game. Because it happens in real life to some extent. But at the end of the game, this is a game. You don't... The worst... I firmly believe that in a game, the worst player should lose every time.
Yeah.
Because it's fair. You know, I know in real life, the better team doesn't always win.
Yeah.
But that's real life. You don't go on a game to feel cheated. You go on a game to hopefully play against people that are a similar level to you.
Yeah.
And you can have a good game against them, and you don't feel like there's any type of hidden puppeteer, that's messing with your players.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like, the rebounds and everything like that, like, it's just clear as day. Like,
it's just so
particularly in, like, the 90th minute and stuff like that. Like, there's no way that ball
manipulation
does that. Like, you come out with games like Rocket League, where you've got actual ball physics, rather than being on a train track where it goes through players' bodies and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's the thing, is that, granted, like, they're different games, but the way that Rocket League feels to play is so much more rewarding.
Yeah.
When you score a sick goal, you're like, holy shit, I've scored a sick goal.
Yeah.
And it's all down to you. It's not the game, if that makes sense. Like, you've not just followed this predetermined, overpowered mechanic.
Like, I think
you've done something that's actually good.
On FIFA 17, like, you heard pro players talking about the angle. Like, you shouldn't have a predetermined angle that will make you score every time. Like, that proves that there's something there in the game mechanic to.
This is what makes me laugh, is that they talk about this. They talk about wanting to have this great simulation of football, but you can't actually play good football.
No.
I look back on the weeks that I've done best in champs.
When you shit ass it.
A combination of being shit ass, playing 4-2-3-1, low depth, players coming back on defence, and counter attacking. Granted, that's normal. That's how I've played for years now. But it's the shit ass way to play.
Yeah.
I'm not playing free flowing, attacking football, scoring nice goals. I score the same goal. This is the reason I think why everyone gets so burnt out on FIFA.
Yeah.
You look at it, it's October that it comes out, the new one, and people have already been burnt out for months.
Yeah.
A couple of months at least.
That's another
because
thing
it's the same game.
Yeah.
From beginning to start. Well, not beginning to start. Granted, there are some patches that change, the meta to some extent.
Yeah.
But realistically, the goal that I scored in, say, December or something, or the first week in League even, is the same goal that I'm scoring today when I was just testing out one of the new players. There's no difference.
Another thing as well, like you say, you play 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
You play a 30-game weekend league, 25 of them are 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Easily.
You play against 4-2-3-1.
Like, and the lack of variety in teams. Teams are the same every game. You got your 5-star weak foot players, your fast players. Like, there's literally no variety whatsoever. It feels like just repetitive.
That's the
People
thing.
use the same tactics, the same teams. Like, there has to be a way that players who aren't, so to speak, meta can be fucking usable.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that by them saying about the passing thing, that they can do that to some extent, but it's just, I can understand why it's difficult, because a fast player is always going to be better than a slow player.
Yeah.
But there's got to, I can't think of it now off the top of my head, but there's got to be a way.
Harry Kane,
yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of the man, but he's shit in game. Like, I'd rather use
use like some 78 rated player that's got
90 pace. I'd rather use Callum Wilson than Harry Kane. That says it all.
Exactly. And Callum Wilson's not even that bad, but I know what you mean. Once again, it's just down to balance.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's a combination, I think, of defenders' catch-up speed being too much this year.
Yeah.
Defenders are far faster than attackers, especially now at the point that we're at. Like, I've changed the team season Ramos recently, and he is faster than most attackers.
Yeah.
And it's the centre back. It is silly, but that's another thing for another day.
Yeah.
Because we'll get on to the next point. So will defending be more manual based and AI defending toned down? So similar to what they was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Felt like Rye Lad goes on to say, felt completely unrewarding and cost me so many goals in FIFA 20 to try and control my defenders. And this is very true. There's a lot of times when you play against somebody that's a bit of a sweat, like a proper rat, where they'll just control like their cam or something, or their striker, and just let the AI do all the defending for them. So EA do say, defending for FIFA 21 aims to reward users for performing more manual actions, i.e. manually attacking an opponent. From tackles to ball blocks, a user-controlled player should have more precision and success compared to an AI teammate. Okay. I'm gonna be positive and think that this is a really good change.
Yeah.
And like we say that, well, or rather like they say, the user-controlled players are gonna be better at tackling. That's what I'm getting from it, and they're gonna be more successful. If they do this right, I think this is a really, really good change.
Yeah. I feel like AI defending is not too bad at the minute. It's definitely been worse in previous years.
It's actually, I don't think it's so much the AI defending. I think it's the AI blocks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
they're just in like the most stupid positions ever, and they seem to know where you're gonna go.
Yeah.
They talk about, or Erkan goes on to say, is there going to be improvements in the defensive shoulder tackling? So talking about shoulder to shoulder challenges. EA say defensive shoulder challenges should be more accurate and rewarding. However, to ensure good game balance, we've made improvements to attacking ball shielding with regards to positioning and strength relative to player attributes when shielding the ball. So that's another good change. Yeah. If they could make it more viable to have a hold-up striker, think of like a Lukaku or something, and then play it off to your wings, like not a false nine, but just somebody that can that you can play off a bit more.
Yeah. It goes into the same thing as we were saying with the players being usable. Like players like that just aren't. No one uses them.
Clunky.
Yeah. There has to be a way to make more than one thing a viable option.
There's been too many years now where it's just the nimble players that are only the usable ones.
Yeah.
And talking to nimble players, so Career Mode Stars goes on to say, what new features will allow a player to defend against agile dribbling? So EA say, we've improved the tackling system to better position the defender when making a play on the ball. Jockeying allows the defender to track their opponent with the confidence of not being beaten. The balance between dribbling and jockeying is something that we'll be monitoring. So it'll be interesting to see what pace feels like this year, because I think at the start of the game pace always feels a bit weird, if that makes sense. Like, as you're getting used to a new FIFA, it does change. You can never put your finger on what changes, but there is something different. I just think they just need to slow everything down a bit, make everything a bit more deliberate, I think. So you go in for a challenge, it shouldn't be some high risk high reward thing, but if you make a good challenge, you should get the ball and you should have a really good chance to pass it out or do whatever you want with the ball. Whereas I think at the minute, and maybe the last couple of years, you've had a chance to get the ball, and then when you do have the ball, your player might do a weird trip, or they might do a weird pass, or there's too many things that can go wrong that aren't in your control.
Like, say if it's happened to me a few times, and you only win the ball, but then the ball, like, it's like your player has a bubble around him. If the ball goes out that bubble, they turn into a defender again. If that makes sense. So you've got the ball, you press X to clear it, and they slide them and give away a pen. Like,
you're just like, what are you doing?
There has to be something. I don't know how it works. It's got to be something to do with like the area around them and how far away the ball is, or something like that.
So they also go on to talk about secondary man press again, which is kind of it's in the game now, but it's nowhere near as overpowered as it was the last couple of years. Your players are not very slow, but they're a lot slower now to press if you're doing the RB press. They talk about it being a mechanic that's really hard to balance, which fair enough, it actually is. They're going to continue to monitor it, they say, which is fair enough. I think this FIFA, it looks as though their focus is making it a lot more manual, which I think is a really, really positive change. Because it's something that's needed to be done for a while. And then the final question, Benny goes on to say, FIFA 20, it was obvious that lean, shorter players were more meta in the game cycle, so your Messi, Neymar and Mbappe's, while larger and bulky players weren't sought after, like you were saying, Harry Kane or Lukaku. Will be more of a balance to make players of all types usable. So EA go on to say, the attacking positioning attribute is now much more impactful in game, Explain the variety of players you'll want to try for different positions. In FIFA 21, the strength of players allows them to perform better in physical interactions, even with a lower balance attribute, which I think is a huge thing. You know, if you've got bad balance, you feel bad on the ball.
Yeah.
They need to balance some of the stats. Like, some stats are just... You look at agility and balance as the two that I think... really... You look at that, you don't look at ball control or the dribbling stat or anything else in a player for the dribbling attributes. They're the only ones that really matter. But the thing that I think they've kind of put themselves into a corner for is that you think of Messi. Messi's not going to have a bad attacking positioning attribute, is he?
No.
He's going to probably have the best.
Yeah.
So, how do they make these stronger, bulkier players really better? Or, you know, give them something that Messi doesn't have, which is obviously strength, but you'd always want to be more nimble and more, you know, quicker than...
Again, it's the way the game works, isn't it? About what, like the attacking styles and stuff like that. There has to be...
I
maybe
think there has
like
to be more
options.
than one style. Yeah. Because you look at
whether
now...
it's in your tactics, whether you know, like you have long ball and stuff like that, whether they go further
play
into
some proper Burnley Brexit football.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only thing that they can do to make these players more attractive. That's weird.
I think it'd make the game more fun as well, having different styles and using different teams.
Yeah, because, like I say, this entire year I feel like I've played with... I've changed my team... Not loads, because I never really do, but because I'll usually find a player that I enjoy and I want to stick with them. But I feel like I've had the same team pretty much since like December time.
Yeah.
And I think I'll reserve judgment for now, but I can't see them.
People
I can't
say
see
like,
it changing.
"Oh, I'm going to use a fun team this week. I'm going to use Benteke up front." Well, at the end of the day, winning's fun.
Yeah,
like
there's no fun with using bad players. That's what I don't understand. This, you know, when people are if they can use like a team that they support or something for fun, fair play, like there's at least some reasoning behind it. But if they're just using an off-league team that's got absolute shit players in it, there's no fun to that to me. I think FIFA is the most fun when you win and you achieve something.
100%. Yeah.
Like I think to myself, when I got Elite 1. Fair enough, I bleat on about it. I've got Elite 1 once this year. That's the best finish I've ever had, probably the best finish I'll ever get.
Yeah.
The moment that I won that game, I've never felt better on FIFA.
Yeah.
But then, when it came to rewards, I got shit, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I think FIFA needed to... I think there's a lot of things they need to balance. I think the potential gameplay changes that they're looking to make is a really, really good step for the future, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but they do say this every year, like...
Yeah.
You gotta wait and see, aren't you? You don't want to...
You gotta wait and see, wait for the first patch, maybe wait for the second patch.
Count your eggs before they've patched.
Jesus, man, that was rough.
Wouldn't be a Backpage Gaming video without a rough joke.
So, basically, if you've made it to the end, well done. We've bleated on for half an hour somehow. And we're going to be having a review come out over probably Monday or Tuesday or something, because I've got Team of the Season Neymar. We'll have that, and then we'll go for our in-games teams next week.
Yeah.
We know it's dead, we know it's rough, but next year we are going to bring the fight.
Smash it. If you've made it this far, leave a comment saying Sam is a nonce.
Yes, big fan.
And we'll know you've seen the whole video.
Alright guys, we'll see you next time.
See you in a bit.